That was Jim Reid in Fairbourne. So what's the answer for Fairbourne and other places like it? Can we afford to be anything other than hard-headed, faced with the way water is rising longer term? Heather Shepherd is from the National Flood Forum. Jaap Flikweert advised the American government after Katrina and the Dutch government on its long-term planning. Thank you both very much indeed for coming in. And I wonder, Heather, whether it doesn't seem to you to be an inevitability that you have to be prepared. We have to start being prepared to let some places go.
We do, but what cost a life, really? And these are people's lives we're talking about, and there could be generations that have lived there, and to remove people from where they're used to living, their everyday lives, managing and seeing each other in pubs and the post office, to disperse them amongst other communities where actually that can cause isolation and ultimately depression. And I think that we need to think hard about that, and actually perhaps the idea is to work with communities.
There are solutions that don't mean removing whole communities like that, aren't there? I mean, as we've seen.
Absolutely. Technically, it's possible to defend anything, and looking at the Netherlands where I come from, that's an example where as a society the decision has been made to protect the country into the long term. But that's a place that totally, the whole country relies on flood defences, so that makes it worth investing for the country in providing that protection.
And we could be like that.
We could be like that, but there are some fundamental differences between the Netherlands and the UK. So the fact that 2/3 of the country in Holland and the 4 largest cities are at risk means that it's vital for the nation to have it all sorted out. Here it's about a sixth, and that simply, the reality simply is that that means it's not the only vital highest priority like it is in the Netherlands. So anything, any pound that you spend on flood risk management, you can't spend on education or healthcare.
I mean, it's already happening in some parts which are uninhabited. At what point do you say, OK, we will lose a few homes if it means not spending the millions or eventually the billions that would need to be put in to rescue it?
I think it is a very hard decision, and as we saw in that report, our communities are aware that, you know, that they need to look long term. And I think what we need to do is, as that lady was explaining, these things are just happen, their decisions are made, but they're not made with the community. And I think that's where we...
No community would ever say yes to that, would they? I mean, in a sense, it has to be something from further outside.
It adds to the problem, though, if they're not discussed. If we don't draw communities into the discussion, if we don't work with communities and find out how they're feeling and how they see the future, and work together in partnership to come to the compromise or the way forward, then, you know, it's not good.
And in a sense, as soon as that thought is had, as soon as somebody sees the bit of paper, that's the end of life and investment and commerce for that community,
it's
right?
A very complicated problem, absolutely, and it's a very difficult message to get across. But the point is that the only alternative is to pretend that we will be able to keep defending them, while in reality, well, that would mean a totally different political choice in terms of the investment that the country makes.
So it's basically a political choice. That's what you're saying.
There's a big part of that. Yeah, absolutely. But personally, I don't think in the UK context it is realistic to expect that the whole country will be protected like the Netherlands. So I do think there are likely to be places like that.
And you must know, you know, in your head that there is not going to be that kind of investment coming, and it's wrong to pretend to these communities that they can carry on surviving like that.
I don't think we need to pretend. We need to work with them, but also we need to...
But what does that mean, work with them? I
well,
mean,
we need to create, we need to bring them in as a partnership, so they're brought in right from the start, and they understand right from the start. So the management involves them, and what the decisions involve them. But also, I think you'll find that the Netherlands, correct me if I'm wrong, actually invest in flood risk management to a much higher degree than we do in England.
And that's what you're saying is it's not going to change. I wonder though, if the one on the west coast of Wales goes, and we've talked about Fairbourne tonight, what happens to the next one and the next one? I mean, at what point do you say this is going to keep on being eroded?
Well, it will stop at some point. The UK has a lot of high ground that is not at risk in the foreseeable future. But yeah, I think an important element is that on the one hand, I think it is worth for the UK to start investing more and protect more households. And and that will. So if investment does increase, many of these households will be protected.
I mean, the head of the Environment Agency said on our programme on Monday night that he thought any community should be protected. I mean, he seemed to completely rule out this managed retreat. Do you think that's...
It is. You would have to then also pay the bill for it. So that political choice then has to be made, and I'm not sure if the country is ready.
Do you think there's the political will to recognise the direction of travel and to have that long-term vision about paying the bill?
I think that certainly as far as the National Flood Forum is concerned, we're working with communities in and out. Communities are lives. People's whole existence is within that community. And yes, I do think that we should be investing a lot more. We're seeing all these floods that are happening now. They're on the increase, so therefore we need the investment.
Thank you both very much indeed. Thanks for coming in. Piers Morgan confirmed today that he'd been questioned by police investigating